Senator Kennedy, thank you for agreeing to speak with us. It has now been months since that dark day in Dallas. The nation is still grieving. How are you and your family managing this loss?
Well, thank you, first off, for having me on behalf of my brother. There are no words to truly capture the pain. My brother was not only the president, but he was a husband, a father, and my closest friend. When I first received the call, I was in Virginia, having lunch with a friend. They bring me the phone and say it's urgent. Just panic. First, it didn't seem real. John had been able to overcome a lot. Reminds me of that time in the Pacific. He was using that PT patroller boat and a Japanese cruiser crashed into them, and somehow he managed to get out of that. But the reality struck quickly. John was gone, and with him, a vision for what America could be. Even now, I still think about his smile and his laughter and his belief that America could rise to its greatest ideals. Sometimes I still catch myself picking up the phone, about to call him and realize that he's not there. What we lost that day was not only a leader, but a sense of innocence and possibility.
Let's begin with the setting. Why was President Kennedy in Texas at all?
John knew Texas was important. The Democratic Party was divided. It would be hard to unify it. But John had high hopes to unify it before the 1964 election. He was going to run again. He had been in Fort Worth earlier that morning. Warm crowds, successful breakfast speech as he normally does. He's very good at that. Jackie, who's in a radiant pink suit, had agreed to join him on this trip. Dallas was to be a chance to demonstrate strength and optimism. But it was also a city of tension. Just weeks before, Adlai Stevenson was physically attacked there for defending the United Nations.
Surely, my dear friend, I don't have to come here from Illinois to teach Texas manners, do I?
Ambassador to the United Nations, Adlai Stevenson, speaks at the Dallas Memorial Auditorium. That was the highlight of UN. Nearly 100 people are marching in front of the auditorium. The group is surrounding Stevenson's limousine and chanting anti-UN slogans as a sign slams down on Stevenson's forehead, just missing his eye. The ambassador steps back under the blow.
Some warned my brother not to go. But John believed in meeting the people where they were. He always did.
Walk us through November 22nd, 1963. What happened that day?
Yes. As I said earlier, the morning began in Fort Worth. John gave a speech to a cheerful crowd. Then he boarded Air Force One for that short flight to Dallas. By late morning, that motorcade began, and the mood was jubilant. Tens of thousands lined the streets, waving and cheering. John loved the people. He loved waving back and being in their presence. It was at 12:30 p.m. as the motorcade turned onto Elm Street in Dealey Plaza. I don't understand why they went down Elm Street and changed the route, but the unthinkable happened. Shots rang out. That first shot, it struck my brother in his upper back, exiting through his throat. He raised his arms as if in confusion, but Governor John Connolly, seated in front, was also hit by another bullet, and it was sad to see. And then the third shot, fatal wound to John's head. Jackie, in shock, climbed onto the back of the limousine, reaching as if to gather what had been lost. Secret Service agent Clint Hill leapt onto the car, shielding them as the motorcade accelerated toward Parkland Hospital.
What happened at Parkland?
I wasn't there, but the doctors, they fought to save him. They couldn't. The wound was beyond hope. It was at 1:00 p.m. my brother was pronounced dead. Jackie stood in the trauma room, refusing to change her blood-stained suit. She wanted the world to see what had been done.
In downtown Dallas, the first reports say that President Kennedy has been seriously wounded by this shooting.
That was when I started getting calls from people, from friends. It was a hard time. I don't think I'll ever forget those days. I don't think I'll ever forget the day that my brother was taken away from me.
And what of the nation's leadership?
It was at 2:38 p.m. Vice President Johnson was sworn in as president aboard Air Force One, with Jackie beside him. The transition was immediate, as the Constitution demands, but for the country, it felt like time stopped.
Senator, the man accused was Lee Harvey Oswald. What do we know of him?
Oswald, 24-year-old, troubled man. Served in the Marines and defected to the Soviet Union soon after. Then returned to the United States with his Russian wife. He was a drifter, Marxist, often discontent. Evidence showed he purchased the rifle through mail order. It was under a false name. Witnesses saw him on that 6th floor of the Texas school book depository. His palm print was found on the weapon. Police had arrested him within hours, but he denied everything.
I'm just a patsy.
Just a patsy.
And then Oswald was killed himself?
Yes. 2 days after he was arrested, he was being transferred from a city jail. Jack Ruby, a nightclub owner, stepped forward and shot him point blank. Millions watched on live television. The alleged assassin was silenced before he could speak at a trial.
Many Americans do not accept that Oswald acted alone. Do you share those doubts?
I will say this. The official report The Warren Commission concluded that Oswald had acted alone, yet many details fueled doubt. Some witnesses claimed they heard shots from the grassy knoll. Some people were saying a single bullet shot through both my brother and the governor. That one I don't believe. There were forces with motive to kill my brother. Cuba, after the Bay of Pigs and the missile crisis with them. The mafia, angry at John, and myself, we both did great work cracking down on organized crime. Even whispers within government agencies upset with his policies. I cannot tell you definitely what is true, but I can tell you this. My brother's death was not just the act of one man. It was born out of the hatred and divisions of the time.
What were the immediate consequences of his death?
The nation just plunged into mourning. Millions watched his funeral on television. Little John's nephew saluted his father's coffin. It was a moment that no one will ever forget. Excuse me. Then, politically, Johnson carried forward as much as Kennedy, my brother, President Kennedy's policies, but he also escalated some of our involvement in Vietnam. I'm not touching on that. The course of America changed in ways John could have never intended. But more than policy, it was trust that was lost. Americans saw their president murdered in broad daylight, his accused killer gunned down before a trial. Many began to question whether truth could ever be known. That doubt is going to linger for centuries to come. It was the end of something in an age of hope, perhaps. John's presidency was far from perfect, but he inspired others. For the American people, it created some scar of mistrust. They saw darkness for the first time in a while. It was as though democracy itself had been made fragile before their eyes. I believe John's vision did not die in Dallas. His words, his ideals, they live on, and he believed in a better America, one of courage, service, and sacrifice.
And what should we remember, Senator?
Remember, John, not for how he died, but for how he lived. He believed that courage and service could change the world. He believed in young people, civil rights, and peace. His death was a tragedy, but his vision, his idea of America, lives on. My brother once said, "A man may die, nations may rise and fall, but an idea lives on."
And so,
That,
my fellow Americans,
I believe,
ask
is his
not
true legacy.
what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.